Objection. The defense rests, Your Honor.
Welcome to Skippable News, where you can skip to the part you want by going to the menu in the description below, or via the progress bar, watching at home on television via satellite or cable TV channel 3.
Did you say
awesome?
Channel 3?
I did. This is Skippable News, August 19th. I'm Jason Brown.
I'm Jimmy T. And I'd like to say hello to our fan at Convict Lake.
What? We have a fan?
We have one fan.
I know we have a fan in the office right now, a few of them since the AC's out.
It's a little bit toasty today.
It is hot, humid, and oh my God, at LPP this week.
Yeah. Normally we have truck noise. We open the door to get some circulation. Now we have fan noise.
Fan and trucks and everything. We're bombarded down there. It's crazy, but you know, it's a temporary problem because before you know it, it'll be freezing cold. Hey, so this week's we have Barry Simpson coming in and talking about school. School starts this week. We have Gail Swain for part 2 of her interview of Mary Austin. We have Dr. Engblade in. We did the part 2 of that. We have Jeff Gabriel coming back. He's talking about the finale of the Campfire series. And of course, we have Fred Rowe with the Fly Fishing Report. And somewhere in there, we're going to slip in the winner of this week's movie tickets. So that's right, guys. If you want to win movie tickets, all you have to do is like, subscribe, and comment on this video. And if you're having trouble finding it, just go to your phone, pull up Skippable News, and do it from there, because if you're watching on TV, you can't do it. Sorry. But take the time. Go out, comment, like, subscribe, become a part of Laughing Parrot. Skippable News.
That too.
That too.
What is the movie that comes out?
Ooh. So there's only going to be one movie playing this week. It's Beast, rated R, at the Bishop Twin Theaters. So you probably won't want to miss that.
The star is Idris Elba, and he always does a great job. If you want to watch a good series, watch Luther.
Awesome. Well, hey, without further ado, we're going to send you into this week's Skippable News.
Welcome to Eye on Inyo County Schools and schools in general. It's opening coming really soon, and we're going to be talking about that. And I have Barry Simpson, who knows all, and if he doesn't, he'll find out.
That's right. That's right.
Okay, so I always thought school began when it was Labor Day or after Labor Day, but then I'm an old timer, so what do I know? So how come the calendar seems so early this year?
Well, there's a variety of reasons for that, and this is a question I get asked a lot, and folks over the years have looked at trying to find ways to move the school year back to after Labor Day. But the truth is, the school calendar there needs to be a 180 student contact days in the school calendar. Now, in the late 90s, early 2000s, somewhere in there, we used to have a school calendar that was 180 days, but it was inclusive of staff professional days. So you only needed to have 172 contact days. So again, about 20 years ago, the school year was expanded from 172 to 180, which is, a week and a half, 2 weeks. So that's moved,
quite a bit,
so that
actually.
moved it a little bit. But additionally, over the years, school districts began to analyze, when they had low attendance days. And for example, we used to take just Thursday and Friday for Thanksgiving. A lot of families are traveling during that time,
right.
And so Thanksgiving became a week-long holiday. So that added a few days. So now we're pushing it a little bit further into the summer again. And so things like that, and even the President's Day holiday in some school districts is a full week rather than a couple of 3-day weekends or a 4-day weekend. So all of those little things have added to stretching the school year out. And there is some good research behind, the less time that you can have students away from school. So if you can shrink some of the summer school, there's less of that loss of learning over that summer. So if you can have a summer program and a shortened and a longer school year, academically it makes sense for students.
Students are also missing their friends, I notice, and then it's gone on for quite a while.
Yeah.
And I always heard it was an agricultural calendar, which isn't as significant.
Yeah, not as much as it was, but yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
And so that's the main reason for the school calendars. But I will tell you, that's probably the number one question: is why is school start so early?
Yeah, I thought it was just me.
Yeah.
I said, "Oh my God, that means summer's over already."
Exactly.
Doesn't feel like it is. And then let's go on to school budget, because there's some good news there.
Yeah, so we should start about how are schools funded, and are they doing well? Which I will right off the bat tell you, this is a very good year for school districts. And so school districts do well when the state budget is doing well. And the best indicator for our state budget really is the stock market. When you look at the stock market, if the stock market's doing well, typically the California state budget is doing well because we have so many high income earners in California. Now, you can't look at the stock market today. What you have to look, when you think about the budget, you think about what was the stock market doing 18 months ago, 2 years ago, because we have to wait till those tax receipts roll in. So 2 years ago and 18 months ago, the stock market was really peaked. And so our state was receiving a lot of income taxes during that period of time. Now, if you're following the stock market now, or you're looking at your 401k, you know it's not doing what we'd like it to be doing. So that's a harbinger for the future. But right now, school districts have done really well because the state has seen tremendous revenues over the last couple of years. That said, when we look at Inyo County, we need to understand that some of our districts do not get funded the same way. They're not all funded in the same manner. Bishop Unified, our largest school district, is a school district that gets local control funding formula, meaning when the state budget goes up, they see large COLAs, cost of living adjustments, and increases in ongoing funding. For the remaining 5 districts in our county, the small school districts, Round Valley, Big Pine, Owens Valley, Lone Pine, and Death Valley, they're what's called community funded districts, meaning their property taxes exceed what they would receive from the state on a per pupil revenue adjustment. So thankfully, during this time of increased, as the state budget revenues have come in, property taxes have also increased. So all of our school districts, for their ongoing funding, are seeing an increase this year, and a significant one, which is a very, very good thing. Then what we can talk about, perhaps in our next segment, is a little bit about what some of the other funding opportunities that are coming our schools' way.
Excellent. This is Chris Langley with Eye on Inyo Schools, and we'll be back with Barry Simpson, the superintendent.
Hi, I'm Jason Brown, and we're back with Dr. Engblade. We were talking previously about rural health hospitals, and you said that a lot of them are closing. And one of the things that I've been reflecting on since we last talked 5 minutes ago is how sad it is when people, as we get older and we live in these communities and we love those communities, when the hospitals do close, they don't have the care and they have to move away. I just talked to somebody over the weekend that needed my services for computers, and I was out of town, and so I hooked them up with someone else, and they said, by the way, we're going to have to move. And it had to do with altitude, and that they have to be down in a lower altitude. And it's sad, but it's really sad when hospitals are closing and people have to move away from their homes to a big city. And when you go from rural to city, that in of itself is a cultural shock.
Absolutely.
Especially already being elderly and having to relocate. So anyway, as we were talking, that really affected me, and it kind of got me a little bit emotional.
Well, and I think what people often then get concerned about, and I don't know if the first knee-jerk reaction is, oh, I have to move away. It's more, gosh, if I have an emergency.
Yeah, what do you do?
And now I have to go an hour to the nearest emergency room, and we all know that, time in a stroke is brain, and time in a heart attack is heart. And so you really start to think about, gosh, is it safe for me to live here? But I think that's usually the first realization, wow, I'm really far from emergency services.
Well, I think that's what's really good about Northern Inyo Healthcare District is the fact that we do have outstanding physicians here. And if they don't, we have great partnerships with Sierra Lifelight. They get you where they need to go.
Yep.
My grandson was born this last year. He's about 16 months
congratulations.
old, and he was early, and so in COVID and all that stuff. But they got him down to Loma Linda, and it's just great to have good quality health care in our area, and get you where you need to get. If it's a life-threatening emergency. Anyway, you said quite a few things as we were talking, and bring the audience up to speed. Can you tell us about critical access, and then we're going to go into standards of care, and then you also talked about patient expectations.
Sure.
Can we hit on those?
We sure can.
Okay.
So critical access hospitals it's actually a federal designation, and a CMS, so a Center for Medicare and Medicaid designation.
Okay.
And what that means is that you're a small hospital in a rural area, but the definitions are you're 25 beds or less, and you're more than 35 miles from the next hospital.
Which we are.
Which we are, barely from Mammoth.
Right.
Or it can be shorter than that. I think maybe 30 miles on mountain roads to the nearest hospital. So again, just really designating these hospitals that are serving a fairly small population, isolated, so not close to other hospitals, and small, 25 beds or less.
And so that's critical access.
That's critical access.
So what about standards of care?
I think when we talk about medicine standards of care, this is where there's lifelong learning. And this is where it's the art of medicine along with the science of medicine.
Right.
The standards of care for treating, let's say, a heart attack were much different 20 years ago than they were 10 years ago than they are now. And so this is why we always need to keep up. But there are definitely, when we look at what is the right way to treat a heart attack, there's lots of information that we need to be practicing about what to do, what medicines to give you, etc.
Yeah.
And so that's really, across the world, really, we have standards in the U.S., but we need to make sure that we are practicing those standards. And that's part of my job, to make sure that the providers here have that education and that they're practicing the standards of care that are kind of established across the U.S. Now, we live in a world where, we all do surveys. We all do a lot of surveys because all businesses, including us, we're in the business of medicine,
Right.
and we need to make sure that our customers are happy.
Right.
So yes, we need to deliver high quality care. We're meeting that standard.
Are you the one that I get the emails from about how do we do?
Not me personally,
Oh, okay.
but yes, we need to know that we are delivering
That's
you.
the patient's experience.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
All right, so let's go back to the words, my job.
Okay.
Because you have more than one job. You're the chief medical officer, you're a hospitalist, and then you told me that you're a pulmonary.
Right, so we have a cardiopulmonary department here.
Cardiopulmonary.
That's pretty unique to have in a hospital. Oftentimes, a lot of these, in a hospital our size, I should say.
Okay, in a rural area.
In a rural area.
With critical access.
Right, so we have a department where we do EKGs. So this is the electrodes that we look at your heart.
Yep.
We do stress tests of many different kinds. That's getting you on a treadmill. That's also sometimes giving you medication to simulate that treadmill if you can't get on the treadmill, to look at your heart function.
That's what I'm choosing.
We do, echocardiograms. We have a great sonographer here who has been doing echocardiograms for 40 plus years and gets great ultrasound pictures of your heart. And we do heart monitors. here. So, we think you're passing out or you're having skipped beats.
Put it on you and you leave, right?
You leave, and then we get those back and we read those out and we say, oh, this is why you're feeling that
You
that
did that for
heartbeat.
my daughter this last summer, and it turned out that she has this extra nerves or whatever that were
Yes.
firing the heart, wouldn't slow down, and she ended up moving to Salt Lake City and had her procedure, and it was great. But it all started here with that Halt monitor.
Yep, exactly. And so I'm part of the group of doctors, internal medicine doctors, who read out all those tests. You go to a bigger place, it's all run by cardiologists.
Okay.
Here, and this is kind of what makes medicine fun here, is that we're well trained. Dr. Kamei is the director of that department. He's been doing this for 40 years. He has had mentorship from many cardiologists. He has trained me to do what he does. It's part of our medical training as well, but
Right.
but I've had mentorship under his watch for pretty much the whole time I've been here,
That's
so for
awesome.
8 years. And so together, there's about 4 of us who manage and kind of read out all those tests, and we're able to offer that service to our patients locally, again, so they don't have to go to Reno just for a stress test.
Okay, but those 3 jobs that we're talking about mean that you're actually employed by 3 different groups. Isn't that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, because I learned with Dr. Hawkins today that physicians in the state of California cannot be employed by the hospital.
Correct.
So there's that group.
Unless,
So that would be where
Yep.
your cardiopulmonary would be, right?
Right. So as the chief medical officer, I'm directly employed by the
hospital.
The hospital. With the cardiopulmonary, I'm an independent contractor
Okay.
with the hospital. And for my hospitalist work, I work for Eastern Sierra Emergency Physician Group,
Wow.
who then contracts with the hospital.
Wow, that's incredible.
Not to be confusing.
Don't you worry about getting fixed up. When you wake up, you're pretty enough. Look out your window at the cloud of dust. That's my headlights, that's my truck. So come on, baby, don't you keep me waiting. I gotta go, I gotta rest.
Hi, Chris Langley.
Hi,
Chris Langley with Eye on Inyo Arts for Skippable News, and we're going to continue with Mary Austin while we have her, and she's going to tell us more about her life here, and then what happened when she left here.
Mary,
so
we left off
with you starting to write and getting published,
really
and
pushed
you into fame.
And you said how long
did you live here?
Around 10 years.
And
then what happened?
And then my life with Wallace was not what I had expected out of marriage. He and I were very different personalities. I'm a person that likes to talk about everything and write about everything and analyze it. And he basically was like, Mary, be quiet. Quit talking.
yeah, you said that.
Yeah.
you said
So eventually it was not sustainable, and I took Ruth, our daughter, and moved to Carmel. I actually built a house in Carmel, and I got acquainted with the writers' colony. Jack London was a very special friend, and other people in Carmel, and we just had wonderful times writing and talking about everything, and I really connected with these people.
But you continued,
to write about the local scene in Owens Valley a little bit, but then you
wrote about
Yeah, I wrote about Native Americans because when I lived in Owens Valley, they were a great help because my daughter Ruth, as some people may or may not know, was afflicted with what today is autism. Back then it had not been discovered, but I'm pretty sure it must have been autism because she couldn't keep eye contact. She was very unhappy. It was very hard to connect with her. And Native American women helped me with her a lot. In fact, one of them actually became like a surrogate mother, breastfed her because she wasn't eating properly. And this woman was very special to her and me. with Ruth.
And then eventually you went on to I think New York.
Yes,
right?
I was in Carmel.
H.G. Wells was a friend of yours.
Yes, and I went to New York and Europe, and all through my writing connections and meeting people and learning about the world. And in New York, I also worked on helping women get the vote, which was very important.
So you were a suffragette.
Yes. And lot of things were happening in those early 1900s. Well, a lot of things are still happening, but a lot of important things for women.
Yeah,
especially for women. I think they were beginning to stretch out and gain more notice and freedom.
Yes.
Freedom still with quotations around
Exactly.
it.
Which is something women have to continually fight for, as we know.
And I bet
you wish you could come and fight for it.
In many ways,
But
yes.
your writing
lives on.
Yes.
So.
It does. Thank you.
So Chris
Langley with Eye on Inyo Arts,
with
Mary Austin, a person that I really admire her writing, and she lives still in her writing. So I encourage anyone from our area to seek out her books. Most of them are still in print, and you can find them.
So this
is Eye on Inyo Arts with Mary Austin for Skippable News.
Hello, I'm Jeff Gabriel with the Eastern Sierra Interpretive Association. We have our summer program of our Campfire programs going on, and we have our finale of the summer. It'll be August 27th, 7 o'clock p.m., Mount Whitney Portal Campground down in Lone Pine. The topic's going to be Sierra Nevada bighorn sheep. Again, our finale for the season of our Campfire programs, August 27th, 7 o'clock p.m., Mount Whitney Portal Campground. I am Jeff Gabriel with the Eastern Sierra Interpretive Association. To learn more about our Campfire programs and anything else, please go to sierraforever.org. Educate, inspire, explore.
Hello, I'm Fred Rowe from Sierra Bright Dot Fly Fishing Guide Service. I've been teaching, guiding, writing, and lecturing on fly fishing since 1982. Well, let's get to this week's fly fishing report. Well, afternoon thunderstorms are always great. They make for great pictures in the afternoon, but they also get you wet and they help out the fishing. And particularly for fly fishermen, they put the hatches into the river and they put terrestrials into the river. Makes for better fishing. It's what we call wet fly fishing. Okay. Let's get to Upper Owens River. Well, it's primarily a morning fishery, and in the mornings, we're out there around 8 o'clock, maybe even a little early. Be ready for the mosquitoes, because they're hanging around to about 9 or 10. But what we're really looking for are the trico hatch, and it's coming off in the mornings, about 8:30, and runs till about 10. It starts off as a dun pattern, and then it goes from the dun into the spinner. When the spinner falls on the water, that's when we're doing really good. And we're fishing with a size 22 or 24 trico spinner pattern. And then at the end of the trico hatch, there's been a caddis hatch. And it's coming off about a size 18. And the last time I fished, I didn't see it, but I still would be ready to fish with the caddis pattern because it's still around. Okay, let's go over to Hot Creek. It's fishing great. We're fishing in the interpretive site with dry flies, and it's got a lot of weeds in the water, but you just got to work around the weeds, fish the narrow little channels, or fish the open pockets that are out there. And in the interpretive site, there's a lot more open pockets and areas to fish. And we're fishing tricos in the morning, followed by blue wing olives, followed by caddis. But the blue wings and caddis are a little erratic. They're not out there every day. So be ready for them, and don't be surprised if you don't see them. Down in the canyon, the weeds are really bad, and just be aware that's the big problem down in the canyon. Okay, over to Crawley Lake. Guys are finally starting to fish in shallower water, 20 feet or less, because the fish have moved up into the shallows. And the fishing's getting better and easier to fish. And same old patterns out there. They're using black and copper, black and silver, gray, and the albino baron, which is a wine-colored midge pattern. And they're fishing anywhere from 3 inches to 4 feet off the bottom. All right, let's go down the hill to the Lower Owens. It's dropped down to 150 CFS, and by noon, we got to institute a hoot owl there, which means we're protecting the fish, because if we release them when the water's better than 70 degrees, they won't survive, or their chances of survival are really low. So by noon, we're quit fishing on the Lower Owens. But in the morning, I'm using my Euro rod, and I'm fishing out there, and I'm nymphing, and I'm using the stoner nymph and the olive quildagon on the bottom and a batano up on top, and that's producing a fair number of wild brown trout. Well, over to Bishop Creek Canal, same problem. By noon, we're instituting the hoot owl, and I've quit fishing there once the water temperature gets over 70 degrees. And yes, I'm carrying a thermometer and checking the water temperature starting around 3:30-ish. And I'm fishing stoneflies, and I'm fishing the green gold wire prince nymph in there for the wild browns. Well, that's this week's fly fishing report, brought to you by Sierra Bright Dot Fly Fishing, and I can be found on Instagram and on Facebook, and I can be found on my webpage at sierrabrightdot.com, and also look us on Skippable News on YouTube.
Hello, I'm Jeff Gabriel with Rotary International. I want to talk about what Rotary is and what we do to make our communities a better place. Rotary is a service organization with 1.4 million members from around the world doing good in their communities. Here in Bishop, California, we actually have 2 clubs, the Rotary Club of Bishop Sunrise and the Rotary Club of Bishop. Both clubs you can join, and we are looking for individuals to join other Rotarians that are in those clubs as people of purpose, people of influence, people of action. If you fit any one of those, we would love to have you in either one of the 2 clubs that we have here in Bishop. Things that we do to make our community better: we provide scholarships to 4-year, 2-year students, as well as vocational schools. We do the Santa Mile during the Christmas parade put on by the Bishop Chamber of Commerce. We also provide help to nonprofit groups like Law's Museum, Wild Iris, painting their safe house. There are many projects that we do to make our community better, and we would love for you to join us in either of the Rotary Club of Bishop, the Rotary Club of Bishop Sunrise. And for more information, you can look at bishopsunrise.org, or you can call 760-937-7908, and you can get more information of joining other Rotarians in your community. Again, I'm Jeff Gabriel with Rotary International, service above self.
Hey, welcome back, and congratulations to the winner of the Bishop Twin Theater movie tickets. Hey, the odds are pretty in your favor. Just like, subscribe, and comment. There's usually only about 3 to 5 people doing it. Let's get that up to at least 10 to 20 people commenting on there. Let's make it a lot of fun. Hey, tickets are worth it, guys. It's like 20 bucks to go to the movies these days. Butthurt comment of the week. Drum roll, please. Not butthurt. We are in Derby Madness. We are dedicating our car to the servicemen and women. Please send me all the names you would like on the car. Smiley face emoji. Hey, all you have to do to put your name on that car is become a member of the Facebook group Butthurt Owens Valley. Find that car, put your name on it, and they'll put it out there. I think that's pretty cool.
In disclosure, we're fans of the Todd Father.
We are fans of the Todd Father, and we have an epic video. You see it playing in the background, but you can't hear the soundtrack, but it goes something like... Thank you, Todd. We hope to be able to do that again this year.
They say they have about 100 names. Let's go for 200.
Yeah, let's do it.
There's a lot of veterans here.
Thanks for watching. We're still here. We'll be back next week. We will see you then.
Swamp boobs! Level 10. Emergency!
I am very disturbed by this. Like, subscribe, and comment, people.